Is the NCR truly dead? That is the question the Ghoul is forced to answer as he tracks down the last remnants of the Republic, only to find a ghost story waiting for him. But the real danger lies within the Brotherhood, where a conspiracy to overthrow the Commonwealth leadership pushes Maximus to the breaking point. With Thaddeus's life on the line and a new Caesar rising in the desert, the alliances we thought were safe are crumbling. You do not want to miss the details of this episode. Let's dive in. Thaddeus finds himself in a bizarre predicament, working on a chain gang that seems to be bottling soda. He clarifies to the children working alongside him that they are lucky to be there, emphasizing that they have a roof over their heads and a well-defended perimeter. In that moment, he tries to boost morale, validating their efforts by claiming that most kids are dead by their age. For his part, Thaddeus is struggling with his new identity, as one of the children accuses him of looking like a ghoul. He denies this, electing to point out another worker, Perry, as a real ghoul to deflect the attention. However, he soon understands that his physical changes are becoming impossible to hide. Despite the grim circumstances, he resolves to keep the group's spirits high, leading them in a rhythmic work song to pass the grueling hours. Elsewhere, Lucy finds herself in a dire situation after being captured by a group of legionaries. She is dragged through a chaotic camp where slaves are being brutally punished, a sight that deeply disturbs her. Upon meeting the leader, who claims to be Caesar, she attempts to correct his pronunciation, clarifying that Kaiser is German, while they seem to be following a Roman theme. The leader ignores this, emphasizing that they are negotiating the rights to her prima noctis. Lucy immediately shuts this down, clarifying that it is an awful tradition from the Middle Ages, not Rome. She validates her refusal by awkwardly admitting she isn't a virgin, listing her past relationships to dissuade him. In that moment, she tries to reason with them, suggesting they have lost their way. However, the legionary explains that they are at war with everyone: the NCR, the Khans, and the Brotherhood, but their primary enemy is the false Caesar. He explains that the original Caesar died, and they have been fighting over his successor ever since. Lucy, ever the optimist, elects to offer her services as a family counselor to resolve the dispute, but her offer is met with hostility. At the same time, the Ghoul is traversing the desert with dogmeat, his condition deteriorating as he coughs violently. He clarifies to the dog that he doesn't like Lucy either, but emphasizes that they need her for the long run. He resolves to find help, knowing he cannot take on two armies alone. This leads him to a dilapidated location he remembers from the past. Inside, he encounters a malfunctioning Securitron named Victor, who believes he is still a soda machine. Victor clarifies that his memory is scrambled, but he manages to convey that Robert House is gone. He explains that House had all the money in the world, but only wanted to live forever, a goal he failed to achieve. The Ghoul emphasizes that House always had a plan, hinting that the cold fusion doodad was part of a larger scheme from before the war. Victor reveals that the only other presence in the area is a group of NCR Rangers hiding in the hills. The Ghoul, realizing his options are limited, elects to seek them out. Back at the Brotherhood base, Quintus and the Commonwealth liaison, Xander, are locked in a tense standoff. Xander emphasizes that the Brotherhood back east calls the shots because they are the ones who bleed on the front lines. He clarifies that the clerics merely stand around giving speeches, while soldiers like him put their lives on the line. In that moment, he warns Maximus that if Quintus doesn't hand over the cold fusion relic, the two of them will soon be shooting at each other. He validates Maximus's combat skills, but advises him to avoid the heat of battle if possible. Maximus, however, remains conflicted. He listens as Quintus recounts the history of the Brotherhood's founder, Roger Maxon, who rebelled against a government that defied God. Quintus uses this story to validate his own rebellious plans, emphasizing that if their cause is righteous, the way will be paved for them. He resolves to keep the relic, even if it means war with the Commonwealth chapter. A moment later, the narrative flashes back to the pre-war era, providing critical context for the Ghoul's cynical worldview. Cooper Howard attends a formal event where his friend, Charlie Whiteknife, is being honored. Cooper clarifies to a congresswoman that while he isn't a pinko, he sympathizes with their grievances against traditional institutions. He explains that when you back billions of people into a corner, they are liable to try anything to survive. This conversation emphasizes Cooper's disillusionment with the government long before the bombs fell. Later, during his speech, Charlie reveals a story about Cooper saving him during the war. He clarifies that Cooper's first concern wasn't his own safety, but the safety of their squad. Charlie emphasizes that they were just Marines who didn't get the privilege of knowing the truth. They simply had to hope they were fighting for the right side. This memory haunts the Ghoul as he navigates the Wasteland, reminding him of the ideals he once held and the harsh reality that replaced them. In the present, the Ghoul arrives at the NCR hideout. The leader, Captain Rodriguez, greets him with hostility, but the Ghoul clarifies that the NCR is looking dusty as hell. He realizes that they have been cut off from reinforcements for over a decade. The soldiers believe that help is coming any day now, but the Ghoul emphasizes that nobody is coming because nobody is left. He validates their desperation, but refuses to indulge their fantasies. In that moment, he coughs up blood, his body failing him. The NCR soldiers beg him to help them contact their battalion, believing they can still win the war. The Ghoul, however, sees the futility of their situation. He resolves to leave them, offering a piece of dark wisdom: when something is dead, it is usually because it deserves to die. Meanwhile, Maximus is ordered to accompany Xander on a mission to investigate a power signature at a nearby complex. Xander emphasizes that they need to secure the location, believing it to be an unauthorized automated facility. Maximus, still unsure of his allegiance, elects to follow orders. They arrive at the bottling plant where Thaddeus is working. Xander, piloting his power armor, bursts in and immediately begins destroying the worker robots. He clarifies that they are there to neutralize the threat, emphasizing the Brotherhood's duty to keep the Wasteland safe. Maximus joins the fray, but he soon realizes that the threat is not what they expected. Inside, they find Thaddeus and the children. Xander, seeing Thaddeus's mutated form, immediately labels them as abominations. He resolves to execute them all, ordering the children to separate from the monsters. In that moment, Thaddeus steps forward, trying to de-escalate the situation. He clarifies that he is the manager and begs Xander not to hurt the kids. Xander, however, is blinded by the codex. He emphasizes that rules are what separate them from chaos and prepares to open fire. At the same time, Lucy is still trapped in the Legion camp. She watches in horror as the legionaries prepare for battle, their brutality on full display. She realizes that her attempts at diplomacy have failed completely. The Caesar she spoke to earlier is now preparing to execute her or use her as leverage. However, before they can act, chaos erupts. The Ghoul, having left the NCR, decides to intervene, not out of kindness, but out of necessity. He attacks the camp, using the distraction to free Lucy. He clarifies that he didn't do it for her, but because he needs her to get to the cold fusion relic. Lucy, though shaken, validates his actions, realizing that in the Wasteland, survival often requires making deals with the devil. They escape the camp, leaving the legionaries in disarray, but the Ghoul warns her that this is far from over. He emphasizes that the war between the factions is only just beginning. Back at the bottling plant, the tension reaches its breaking point. Xander raises his weapon to kill Thaddeus and the children. In that moment, Maximus makes a critical decision. He realizes that following the codex blindly will lead to the slaughter of innocents, including his friend. He elects to betray Xander, shouting for him to stop. When Xander refuses, emphasizing that the codex is clear, Maximus physically intervenes. He attacks Xander, using his own power armor to knock the liaison off balance. He manages to disable Xander's suit, leaving him incapacitated. He then turns to Thaddeus, checking if he is okay. Thaddeus, relieved, asks what Maximus has been up to. Maximus simply replies that he thinks he just started a war. He clarifies that by attacking a Commonwealth liaison, he has effectively declared war on the Eastern Brotherhood. Thaddeus, ever the pragmatist, validates this by noting that they both have a lot going on. The episode ends with the two friends reunited amidst the wreckage of the factory. Episode 3 has completely shifted the balance of power in the Wasteland. From the fall of the NCR remnants to Maximus's ultimate betrayal, the path forward is paved with blood. We're covering the entire season, so be sure to check out the playlist on our channel for more Fallout recaps. Thank you for spending your time with us today. Don't forget to like and subscribe on your way out. We'll see you in the next episode.